Hi gang, Rob here. It is the afternoon of 17 December 2015 and I'm coming to you today with another video from the sharpening bench. This one is the first of its kind I've had on the channel. It comes to us from Bastinelli Creations, Tactical Art. This one is the red folder in stonewashed finish. Item number BAS01. And Bastinelli is one of those companies that brings us knives from that Lionsteel Maniago factory. This is another name that has Lionsteel make their knives for them. It looks like they're based in France, given their email address. Sure sounds like an Italian name, but it looks like the company's based in France. And I have admired these Bastinelli knives from afar for a long time. Shortly after discovering Lionsteel, as I kind of researched what else was coming out of that town, I started to look at Bastinelli knives, and frankly, I've been very, very impressed with their aesthetics and their perceived ergonomics as I've looked at their knives online. But I've never bought one, never considered buying one, because almost all of them come like this. Even though their end of the handle looks like it's milled to accommodate a reversible clip, with this angle and how it folds over, this clip is not swappable for left-hand carry. And you guys know I'm a lefty. Even if it were, given this big chamfer, if it rested where it does for right side carry, it would it would hit a pretty uneven surface. And most of their knives are like that, not swappable for left-hand carry. So I've really never looked at buying one. But man, I liked them in pictures, and I love this one, the red folder, even more after spending some time with it. It's just really good in a lot of ways. Let's get down to business. What are we looking at here? We have a 3 1/8 inch, let's call it a small tactical folder, which is very, very easily flexed into EDC use. 3 1/8 is the blade length. It comes from 3.5 millimeter stock. I measure this up here on the Ricasso at about 134, 135 thousandths. So just over an 1/8 inch. It is full flat ground, and it's a very broad blade, about, oh gosh, 1.25 inches broad, and almost a leaf shape blade. I guess you could call it a drop point with a beautiful swedge. And there is a perfect amount of distal taper to go with that full flat grind, because, why do I say that? Well, let's look at the width of my edge bevel. I sharpened this at 16.5 degrees per side. Look how consistent it is. A little 19.5 degree micro bevel. Just a beautifully, beautifully executed slicing blade. The material is D2, and this European D2 is just wonderful stuff. I mean, wonderful stuff. The edge retention is great. It is super sharpenable, and just look at the polish that it takes. And that polish equates to an extremely keen cutting edge. Extremely keen cutting edge. Just a beautiful, beautiful cutting blade. So that slicing implement is affixed to a pretty standard handle. It is 6AL4V titanium on the frame side, with that sort of offset, that sort of 3 o'clock lock geometry, which, you know, for strength I really like. In some knives that have that, we've experienced lots of stick and a tendency for the lock bar to move a lot when you grip the knife. I'm just not seeing it on this knife. It's very good. You know, a very faint amount of stick only some of the time. Great lock bar tension. Just a really well executed lock. Kind of an interesting pivot. The female side is just round with some radial rings milled into the Torx head pivot, and then that more standard Lionsteel pivot over here on the show side. No steel insert, no over travel insert, which I think is kind of interesting. They got great lock performance with nothing but the titanium lock bar. I would imagine it's carbidized. Lionsteel does like to carbidize lock faces. Even on their steel inserts, they do that. Construction is really, really solid. Now let's talk about the other side. The show side is a very nice G10. It's kind of a satin finish, but if you look closely, it's milled. Almost has it's just a very fine milled pattern. I'm trying to think of another Lionsteel that has this, but I'm coming up empty. Just really nice. Adequate texture. A great shape in hand. You know, nothing super fancy on this knife. It's just so well done. Let's look at the construction. To go along with that pivot, we've got caged ball bearings. If we look, here it is, back here at the butt end of the knife. We've got that sort of not quite IKBS symbol. And these are not IKBS bearings. They're in a steel plated bearing cage or race, I guess you could call it. So really nice, smooth, free action on this knife. We have two stop pins up front, one for the open position and one for the closed position. And then the body screws have nice female cups that go all the way through the back spacer, which I believe is also G10. So 3 body screws, all positively located with barrel type female fasteners screwed in from the show side with T6 Torx bolts. Lanyard hole back here at the butt, and a typically Lionsteel pocket clip attachment with a hex bolt and a carbide glass breaker. A little jimping here on the back that is more of a gear pattern, not so much functional jimping, I don't think. Let's see. Yeah, the handle's a little short to be using that in a reverse grip, but gives us a nice aesthetic touch, doesn't it? Deployment is via thumb stud only. Yay! And it works quite well. The detent is perfection. Don't have to think much to get some nice velocity flicking the knife out. You really don't have to worry about the orientation of your thumb or the direction of your forces. Too bad I don't have a lefty clip mount because it works quite well left-handed also. So let's look at the ergos of this rather strange looking handle. Frankly, when I'm thinking about other products that have come out of this Lionsteel factory, the handle reminds me a lot of the Pull Force Mic 1, although the ergonomics are better and the construction is better. So here it is in the saber grip. Everything looks like it just falls where it wants to be. This depression, sort of the opposite school of thought of a ramp, is perfect. I mean, this knife, not only does it melt into your hand, it locks your hand in. But let's say I want to move around on it. Let's say I'm not using it in a saber grip. How about in a hammer grip? Very good there also. This is where the thumb depression kind of hurts the knife a little. The pressure point is right here. I'd kind of like it to fill my hand out to here, but it doesn't. Is that gonna, that's not costing me too much stability. In a draw cut grip, the front of the finger guard, the finger groove is sort of poking me a little, but not terribly uncomfortably. And remember, the pressure is going to be back against the knuckle of my index finger anyway. So, and this is kind of nice. The middle finger rides on top of the depression. The index finger kind of locks into it. So that's actually a pretty nice grip. I'm getting a lot of clip though. In the sort of forward pinch grip, overhand pinch grip, pretty good as long as you stay back. If you come forward, again, that depression kind of leaves a void. But if you stay back, no problem. And in the reverse grip, it's really good, except the glass breaker will break your thumb. Let's look at the details of the blade, shall we? We have a nice sharp plunge grind, not like 90-degree Spyderco, but nice and sharp. And let's look. How'd they do? Well, the plunge grind seems to end just rearward of the choil, which gives us, with no modification, nice, clean, sharp, consistent cutting edge all the way to the base. Golf course clap. Good job, Lionsteel and Bastinelli. Not sure all their knives are that good, but this one is. Do you have a little bit of milled texture in the top of the lock bar? You got to keep your hand in the right place. Gives you good grip traction and an indexing point for releasing the lock. Oh, there I got a little bit of that lock bar movement. Did you hear that? Yeah. But I didn't get any lock stick as a result of it. So no harm, no foul there. You know, this belongs to my sharpening customer, Sam, from Palo Alto, California. And we were talking about this knife. He was contemplating a couple other potential purchases before he bought it. And he decided to go ahead with it. And it reminded him of another knife I sharpened for him a while back and actually forgot. The Spyderco PPT. You know, when you look at the contour of the handles, pretty doggone similar. That lock bar is a bit of a fooler. Makes it look less substantial than it really is. Look at that. Very similar. Of course, the blade shape's totally different, but from an ergonomic standpoint, they're really similar. In fact, man, if you had your eyes closed, other than the Anso pattern, they feel almost the same in hand. Frankly, not a big fan of the Anso pattern. I like the Bastinelli handle better than the PPT handle. How similar are they in size? A longer knife is the Bastinelli. That's an interesting little comparison, I thought. So this one, I think, guys, is worth a look. If you're looking for that sort of, I call it the sweet size of a knife. You know, definitely bigger than that 3-inch class. Like the Lionsteel TRE, the Vox Odino. A little bigger knife than that, but not huge. You know, smaller than a large Sabenza. Frankly, it feels and looks and carries about like an SR1, even though the blade's a little shorter. And it does have a little slimmer profile this way than the SR1. The blade doesn't seem quite as broad either. It's just a great carry size. You know, could you press it into use for a tactical type situation? Yeah, you could. But really, I think it's kind of a really cool looking, makes you feel good when you pull it out of your pocket, large-ish EDC blade. And in that regard, it does very, very well. So if you're looking for a knife like this, Do not exclude this from your list. That's all for this one, my friends. Merry Christmas, and grace to you and peace from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. And remember the word in Sam's red folder. R sharp.